audience.
Hi.
Okay. Hello, my name is Kristen Doda, and today I'm going to talk about the Ohio graduation test. Now, this topic is important because if you are planning on being Ohio citizen in the future and plan on having kids, they're going to one day have to take this test. And also, if you plan on becoming a teacher, this also will affect you if you plan on teaching high school. So how many of you remember the day you got your diploma and graduated from high school? You guys remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so how many of you guys remember taking the Ohio graduation test or know someone who took it or at least heard about it?
Yeah.
I remember.
I didn't have to take it.
Okay. Well, what is the Ohio graduation test? It's also known as the OGT, and it's a form of standardized testing. Now, according to Chandler Dix in his article, Standardized Testing, this all started in 2002 when President George Bush signed the No Child Left Behind Act, no law. This law mandates that all students completing the 8th grade by year 2014 must be proficient in academic skills. So to achieve this goal, the law requires states to submit their own plans to measure students' performance. So what this means is that states will be forced to test their educators, making sure every child is keeping up with appropriate standards. So by law, Ohio was quick to agree with this and started the Ohio Graduation Act, or the Ohio Graduation Test. So what is the Ohio Graduation Test? It has 5 parts to it. It has reading, math, writing, history, science, that's all 5. And you must pass all 5 in order to graduate. So in my experience, I graduated from Austintown Fitch High School, and I had to take the Ohio graduation test, and it was stressful times. This right here, this is not the Ohio graduation test. This is actually the Stanford exam, but this is also another form of standardizing testing. This is about the thickness of a one-subject part of the Ohio graduation test. Okay, so I'm here today to persuade you guys that basically the Ohio graduation test is just a book of unfair stapled papers, and students should not be penalized if they do not pass this. There's 3 reasons why this test is a problem. The first reason, according to Chandler Dick, again from Standardized Testing, that for this law to be successful, great amounts of fundings must be made. Quoted in Education Opposing Viewpoints by Mary E. Williams, Bush proudly states, the budget for 2004 boosts education funding to $53.1 billion, an increase of nearly $11 billion since I took office. Yes, money is good, but just focusing on school itself and not the whole community lowers school success. So by this means that since the community is not focusing, or since the government is not focusing on the community and just the school, children are in unfit environments, so they're not healthy enough to even attend school. So what is the point? Also, there's not technology at home that would help children with their homework and other things. Also, the next problem is that standardized testing is taking over the lives of teachers. Quoted in Education Opposing Viewpoints, teachers are forced to teach test skills and how to prepare for tests instead of material that would better students' future. Bush states that every child in every school must perform a grade level in the basic subjects that are key to all learning, reading and math. Now, reading and math are good, but he's leaving out 3 other subjects, writing, science, and social studies. So basically, teachers are teaching to test. They're not teaching to learn. Lastly, based on students' performances, the teachers are evaluated based on students' test scores. Because of this, according to Emily Hanford, testing teacher, teachers stop focusing on learning but rather on improving test scores. The last problem, standardizing testing and Ohio graduation is affecting students. The main reason why is that students are developing stress. According to Teens Health magazine, stress can have serious effects on students. They can develop colds, they can develop isolation, and they can sleep too much or sleep too little. They also will start to develop test anxiety. And this can lead to drugs and alcohol for the students in order to relax. Now on March 14th, 2002, the Sacramento Bee reported test-related jitters among students are so common that the Stanford NET exam has instructions on what to do if a student pukes on a test booklet. So if they know that this test booklet is causing so much stress, why are they handing it to students? The next problem relating to students is that students are only learning to memorize. Now, how many of you can listen to an old song right now and sing every word to it? We all can. That's because we took the time to learn it and it leaked and it went to our long-term memory. Students are only memorizing, so that means that they're failing concepts. Ed Hirsch, a book he wrote, The Knowledge Defeat, Closing the Shocking Education Game, states that memorizing works for only history and literature, but it does not work for math and science. That's because math and science builds on acquired concepts. According to Bracey, a PhD in education, standardized testing does not measure creativity, it does not measure critical thinking, does not teach self-awareness, and it does not teach self-discipline. Now, some may argue that memorization is the best style of learning. According to Hirsch, China is the most successful education country based on this learning style. That is true. Chinese children, in fact, are taught memorization skills at a very young age. Now, memorization is good, but what happens if you're asked to think outside the box? China is the most educated country, but it's also known for stealing other countries' ideas because they were never taught how to think outside the box. Now, all these issues can be solved in a very simple way. If there was no test, the No Child Left Behind Act can focus on funding to after-school programs or tutors for extra help. They can also focus on acquiring the latest technology for schools in order to help the students. Also, if there is no test, teachers would be free to teach what they wanted. They can get through lesson plans, and they can take the time to visit outside experiences to teach their students. Also, instead of evaluations based on test scores, a principal should make more stops into a classroom and have the evaluations based on classroom performance. Lastly, failing this test should not result in no diploma. Instead of a test, students should acquire a minimum GPA of a 2.0 and pass all required classes. Now let's imagine this situation. There's no test for a high school and students and teachers do not have to worry about it. A, there would be more improved school and home environment and the latest technology. B, teachers get their lesson plans. C, there'd be less stressed students. And D, students focus on all subjects to get a good GPA rather than only certain subjects. So after hearing about all this, I hope that I persuaded you guys in thinking that the Ohio graduation test is an unfair test and it should not exist. You can make your voice be heard by talking or visiting a local school board or talking to the Ohio Department of Education. To conclude this, I have a quote from Chandler-Dick's Standardized Testing. It says, "Children are 30% of the world's population, but they're 100% of our future." So it's time we take this quote seriously and bring back the real meaning of education. And that is all. Thank you.